Come Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to round 15 of the Tasmanian State League season as we see the Lauderdale Bombers take on the Clarence Roos. Adam Webster with you on the call this afternoon, and I'm joined by my broadcast partner, Jacob Dool. Jacob, welcome to round 15 and welcome to the Speak Up Stay Chatty Cup, the 11th such cup in the history of this competition.
Yeah, good to be here, isn't it, Adam, for what should be a really exciting game of football, but also a big occasion on the TSL calendar. We know how much of an impact Stay Chatty's had in Tasmania as a whole over that 11 or so year period, and to have the link in with the Clarence and Lauderdale football clubs and playing off for the Stay Chatty Cup, but also raising awareness and funds in the process. It's a really good thing that you've been able to bring footy into a larger cause.
It's an incredible cause and an incredible charity run by Mitch McPherson. We know him well on the call here for TSL, but he will be there and very proud of what he's been able to grow, and these two clubs obviously close to his heart, being from this area of Tasmania and growing up around these clubs. It's an honour and a privilege for the TSL to be involved with Speak Up, Stay Chatty, and obviously these two clubs contesting the cup today. Getting onto the game, Jacob, we've got a couple of key outs for the Clarence Football Club. They're second on the ladder at 10-2. Lauderdale fourth at 6-6, but a really great opportunity for the Bombers to try and get a high calibre scalp today at SkyBus Oval.
Yeah, things in theory, lining up nicely for them here. It's a game they really do need to win to find some momentum. And as you say, Clarence, seen them lose. Obviously, Jack Rewalt made his second appearance last week, but he goes out. Ollie Preshaw, state team member, and Josh Green, who is second in the Hudson Medal at the moment, kicked 6 goals last week. So some big names that are missing. And for the Southern Bombers, they welcome back former AFL star Mitch Robinson, as well as Sam Tilley, who spent some time in that state extended squad. So the Bombers pretty much at full strength. Clarence missing a couple of key players might just even the ledger a bit in this game.
Seeing Norton, Siggins and Phillips head into the centre for Lauderdale ahead of the centre bounce in just a few moments. Clarence adding Max Mapley this week to play up forward in the absence of Josh Green. So that should be an interesting look for the Clarence forward line. And obviously Noah Holmes going into the centre as well. We're looking forward to arguably the best ruck battle in the TSL this season.
Yeah, I think Holmes and Phillips, it's tough to argue against the fact that they're the two form rucks in the competition. Mapley coming in for Clarence as well has played some really good footy for the Tasmania Devils and impressed when he's gone up into the TSL and took on Phillips solo early in the season and really held his own as well as he could against an ex-AFL player. So those three sort of mixing it up in the middle of the ground should be really exciting to watch.
We are all set to go here at SkyBus Oval for Lauderdale versus Clarence. Umpire balls up. Phillips wins the tap down and drives it forward. Goes past Hooker. Recovering is Shaw. Shaw gets it inside 50 in the direction of Hooker. Now it's controlled, attempted to be controlled by Clarence. Norton is in there. Hacked out by Blackburn. And Blackburn across the face, and it'll go out of bounds for a throw-in.
That first centre clearance, the only real decisive disposal at the moment, but that's what both Phillips and Holmes can do really well, is win their own footy out of the middle and just get it moving forward, get the chains moving in the right direction.
It'll be Lane doing the ruck work in the forward 50 for Lauderdale with Holmes. Holmes takes it straight out of the ruck and hacks it out in the direction of Paprotny. Paprotny getting Glover involved. Glover drives the ball forward across to the wing. Gapin overruns it and then pushes his opponent in the back and gives away a free kick to Hooker. Hooker has it on the outer wing. Searching for an option. Goes short, but it's chopped off by Cox. Cox drives it forward very quickly. And Clarence right inside 50. Attempted mark by Cooney. Tracked down by Gridley. Gridley is tackled by Cooney and there'll be a ball up.
The team able to really find that clean ball movement that they're after so far, but looks like it's going to be a tough contested game.
Phillips with the clear tap down, and there was a bit of a ragdoll there, so there'll be a free kick as the behind is waved away by the umpire, and a free kick to Lauderdale inside their defensive 50. To the outer wing in the Phillips direction. Holmes working with Gapin. Kick smothered. In there is Cox. It's taken out of bounds by Cooney. Another throw in on this outer wing.
In there, Phillips just a real strength advantage whenever Holmes isn't in the ruck.
In the Broome Hall direction, pushed out of it. Able to be cleared by Poland. Now onto the chest of Blackburn. Blackburn with the high long kick. An outnumber. Doing really well here is Lane. Tracked down is Bell Chambers. He's tackled by Borsboom and there'll be a ball up just on the painted 50.
And that's what Jordan Lane does so well. He crushes packs. Had a 2-on-1 against him there, but still able to bring it to ground and halve the contest.
Lane with a good tap win over Holmes. It goes directly to an opponent and then falls to Martin. Quick hack kick out. Nowhere near his line is Martin. He's brought back on now. A chip inside 50. Killed by the Clarence defence. Now there's Holmes. On to Hanslow. Hanslow kicks it in the direction of Poland. Poland with a low, hard kick. Great kick by Poland. And a good quality mark here by Hooker, who shoot from outside 50. It was a really smart kick by Poland.
It was, yeah. Saw Hooker making that decisive lead and just dropped it into the space. Seemed like there were 4 or 5 Clarence defenders all around Campbell Hooker, but he found the gap, led into it hard and got the ball straight onto his chest.
So Hooker, just outside 50, long left boot. Looks like it's been pushed to the left. And the first score of this game is behind to the Bombers. Clarence clearing to the wing. Over the back was Cooney. And Hooker sees it over the line and for a boundary throw in. An appeal for deliberate.
Maybe calls for it to be out on the full. The umpires are discussing.
Did go off a foot. Clarence have just acted like they've got the free kick, which is smart.
They put some pressure on this decision at
That's
least. And it does go their way in the end, so it's a little bit messy there.
Good to appeal for it.
You've always got to ask the question, don't you?
So it's Cox, the chipping kick that misses his man Norton. Now Clarence able to recover. Haven't been able to get it inside 50 more than once, and that was killed really quickly as Martin finds Tilly. Tilly gets it to Shaw. Shaw slips as he kicks, still able to chip it over the top in the Hooker direction.
Did really well to reel that one in the end. Looked like it had just gone out of his reach, but sort of a late lunge before it went over the line.
Hooker with another long left boot. Inside 50 now, over the head of Phillips. Falls to Blackburn. Worried out of it. Now Harper. He's kicked it out on the full.
Siggins straight over to claim that one. A smart move. He's one of the players in this Lauderdale team who have got the leg and the ability to kick a goal from here.
So Sam Siggins, the star, he's kicked 22 goals to lead this team this season. Just sets it up to the top of the square. Lane can't quite get it. Holmes in there as well. Paprotny. Appealing for a free kick was Walsh, and he'll get it. That was a really good job by Walsh to sort of throw the head back a little bit. It probably wasn't quite that high, but it was high enough to get the umpire's attention.
It was, and all came from just classic Bryce Walsh, really, wasn't it? Putting his head over the footy, winning the hard ball, getting to it first.
Just went lower and harder.
Chance to kick the first goal of the day here.
And he does. Umpire does not move. So goal here to Walsh. Lauderdale have started well. 1-1-7. Clarence yet to score. We've played 7 minutes here in this first term. Adam Webster and Jacob Dool here with you. And Jacob, as you say, just Walsh putting his head over the footy. Maybe put a slight little bit of mayo on there, but the umpire rewarded him.
Yeah, and it's hard to say Lauderdale didn't deserve the reward. It feels like they've had the bulk of the play, and in that little chain there, they brought some really good forward pressure to even bring the ball to ground and get that contest for Walsh to attack. So they've been the better team so far. We know how much quality Clarence have, so they'll be looking for a quick response here to find their feet.
Holmes pushes Phillips out of the way, but Phillips read it better and goes right inside the painted 50 over the head of Lane. Howard did well. Now Johnston. Clearing kick by Ryan to the outer wing. And a strong mark. On the wing for Lauderdale. To Shaw. Now gets it to Franklin. And another good mark by Lane inside 50. Lauderdale just getting everything they want, Jacob, as they go forward here. They're getting marks inside 50. They're able to get the ball to the front of the contest and create something.
Yeah, and I think they'd have to be just happy with how well their structures are working at the moment. They're setting up really well behind the ball. Clarence having to rush these kicks out of the defensive 50, and it's coming back with interest seemingly every time so far.
So Lane from outside 50, a bomb, a monster, and a goal. Lauderdale 2-1-13. Really come out and punch Clarence in the mouth here the first 10 minutes of this game, Jacob.
I have, and that's a fantastic kick from Lane, isn't it?
Brilliant.
Just exploded off the boot, always had the distance and certainly had the accuracy as well. We know how good Jordan Lane can be in front of goals, and that's a strong start for him in this game as well. So
not an easy angle either. He was right up against the boundary line, only a few steps in, really.
And we've seen Lauderdale, particularly at home, have some issues with their goal kicking this season. So promising start for them here to be able to convert.
The upset we discussed pre-game is certainly in play, and more than that, as Phillips with the decisive tap down. Holmes tries to track it down. Overrun by Tilly, controlled by Hooker. Ball spills in the direction of Sutton. Dispossessed, and there'll be a ball up. Holmes tried to kick it out of the air on that ball up, and Sutton falls on the ball again, and we'll have another stoppage. Feels like we've seen Noah Holmes really ragdoll teams in stoppages, but he's not going to do that today against Andrew Phillips with another decisive tap. Controlled by Sutton. He's done well in the middle in this passage of play. Overrun by Franklin. Getting back was Johnston. Tackled is Shaw, and we'll have another stoppage just near the Clarence coach's box.
And I think you're right. Holmes has really dominated against smaller rucks in this game. He really just has to try and nullify Phillips as much as he can. It's as much about playing a draw as it is getting the win in that matchup.
And Phillips is definitely winning. However, that kick inside 50 just went straight to Holmes. Clarence able to reset here, but this is the area of the ground that they've had the most trouble with. And they're rewarded. Strong lead there from Noonan. And he'll switch play back to Holmes.
This is what they need to do, isn't it? Just be a little bit more patient, find that opening, and it looks like they have here.
Here's Bealey taking a bounce, working this wing instead. Great kick to Howard. Now over to Johnston, and now Gapin goes inside 50, but he was pushed as he kicked, and that proved to be the difficult kick for Gapin, and fell into Martin's hands. Lauderdale just able to waltz outside 50 as Martin just runs around Noonan. The direction of Franklin. Ball spills to Howard, and now Holmes. Over to Dolliver. This is better from Clarence. Off the back of the square is Ryan, driving the ball inside 50. 2-on-1 contest, controlled again, but not 15 kick, falls in Harper's direction. And another not 15 kick.
Ooh.
Crowd. Oh, there was a free kick paid there.
I think one umpire's called play on, the other's called a mark.
Wow.
It looked like the ball might have hit the deck from where we were here, but hard to tell from our angle exactly what happened. So benefit of the doubt there, and at the end of the day, it's Clarence with a shot for their first goal.
And it is a goal. Great kick there by Glover. Clarence able to answer after a tough start for them. Early goals to Walsh and Lane. And Glover able to respond. So a 7-point margin nearing the halfway point of this term. It's like we've had a couple of late changes for Clarence from what was submitted, Jacob. Noonan and Richards have come in. The tap is one down. It goes to Walsh. Hooker just ragdolls his opponent, and now Phillips Gets it back out to Walsh, the first goal kicker, inside 50. Controlled by Howard. Poor kick. Now Holmes. Hanslow, tackled, gets it back to Holmes. Hits a target in the centre of SkyBus Oval. Johnston gets it inside 50. Really good work here from Harper to work his opponent under the ball. And he hits the post. Would have been a highlight reel goal there from Harper. Did really well, just worked his body, worked his opponent under the ball and almost got the full reward.
Some slick movement further afield, wasn't it, from Clarence as well, starting with Holmes once again.
Patton will run onto this one. Too fast for his opponent. Lauderdale going end to end with great speed in the Siggins direction. Can't quite take the mark. It's mopped up here through Bealey. Bealey goes through the centre of SkyBus Oval and another strong contested mark in the middle of the ground to Clarence. And a 50 is won by Paprotny. Clarence with the chance to draw level.
Doesn't take long for the momentum to shift, does it? Just a couple of little wins for Clarence, finding some open players.
Paprotny sees a target but just slipped over, did Cox, able to recover onto the left, chips it in, and a strong mark by Harper. A chance from the other side, the other pocket. Hit the post a few moments ago, did Harper, and now with another opportunity. So Clarence have really picked up the pace of their play the last few minutes. They'll look to draw level. This one misses to the right, so Harper with a couple of behinds. Margin back down to 5 points. Clearing is Shaw. And Lauderdale able to move it with a lot more ease than Clarence down this side of the ground as Blackburn bounces a ball inside 50 in the Siggins direction. Siggins played very tightly by Holmes. Ryan able to get it to Holmes. Holmes clears from outside 50, but straight down the throat of Rackett.
It's going to come back, but that's a good win from Holmes there in the back line, wasn't it, against someone like Siggins? Tough to win that contest.
Tough player.
And I think
Holmes
Clarence,
and Siggins again.
These last few inside 50s, they're doing a good job of forcing it wide. Siggins, we know he's a dangerous player, but if you can hem him in along the boundary line, that takes out at least some of the options that he has when the ball comes his way.
And it speaks to the quality of entries or lack thereof that they've had the last few minutes, Lauderdale. Not the same as they've had previously. Cox, clearing kick. We've seen this time and time again in this first quarter. It's just coming straight back in. This time, it's able to be cut off by Hanslow. Now the tackle applied by Shaw. Falls the direction of Norton. Norton sees it over the boundary line.
Norton's such an important player for this Clarence team. Third game back from injury. He was massive last week in their win at Blunston Arena. Would be one who would be hoping to push for selection in next week's state games as well. He's been around the squad even as he's been injured.
Phillips with another tap over Holmes. Ryan is tackled from behind and holding the ball. Great tackle by Shaw. Shaw inside 50 in the lane direction. Tackle is applied by Lane. Work there by Hanslow to lock it in and prevent Siggins from getting his hands on it, which appears to be Clarence's game plan. Stop it from getting in Siggins' hands. Bursting through here is Tilley, off the ground, but chopped off easily by Howard. Clarence go again outside 50. They're out here if they're able to control it, but Noonan made it difficult, but came off in the end. Great support by Bealey. And now Cooney. Cooney with a kick along the wing here to Alomes. And Alomes will go inside 50 to the hot spot. Contest. No one can quite get there. There was an appeal for high. Instead, See a ball up. It's Cooney that tried to do what Walsh did earlier. Less effective. Phillips. Another clearance. Tries a fresh airy. Tilly. Now Racket. Ties up. Noonan, a late in. He's had a lot of it and been around it a lot.
Yeah, been busy so far and used it pretty well when he's had it.
It's like another secondary stoppage here. So hard in and under. Phillips, another tap down. Dispossessed was Franklin, but didn't have it, says the umpire. Free kick against Paprotny. Heading the other side of the ground here, Lauderdale, where they've been able to move it very, very freely throughout this contest, and they go inside 50 once again in the Siggins direction, but it falls short. He's marked by Patton.
Perfect weight on that kick, wasn't there? Whether that's who he was looking for or it was one for Siggins coming storming out, it's worked out very nicely, and we'll end with a shot on goal. And as you say, when Lauderdale have been able to transition quickly and find players on the move, they've looked really good. Clarence been able to slow them down a little bit as this quarter's gone on, but I still wouldn't be happy with how easily the Bombers are able to move the ball forward.
So Patton approaches and misses just to the right. Holmes will get it in as quickly as he possibly can, and Borsboom has it in the right back pocket. Borsboom goes very long in the direction of Mapley. Phillips works it over the back and shepherds the ball really nicely for Racket. Comes off the side of the boot of McGuinness, and Noonan sees it over the line. So a bit of a win here for the Roos.
That's just the smarts of Andrew Phillips there, isn't it? The ball in front of him, but recognised that his team had the numbers, so rather than go and collect it himself and get tackled immediately, just used his body well. Let a teammate sneak in and clean it up.
Noah Holmes finally wins a contest against Phillips. He's had a bit of a rough quarter. Patton tries to save it, but out of bounds before it can get in Sam Siggins' hands.
I think the thing that's been impressive with Holmes this year and so far in this game is he's struggling in the ruck, as you could expect against Phillips. He's still finding ways to impact it around the ground. He's working into space, using the ball pretty well, so it's really all you can do in this game is make Phillips work and make him cover some ground.
Siggins overrun by Norton. Noonan immediately tackled, and there's holding the ball. Good tackle applied by Racket. Racket in the middle of the ground. There's a push in the back. See if advantage is paid. It is not. The ball will go back to the centre of the ground.
Campbell Hooker been doing a really good job of presenting up into the middle of the ground so far.
I haven't seen Mitch Robinson as yet, as that is cut off by Ryan.
It's a very good point, Adam. He's the big name that we've been waiting for. And
Richards into the centre of the ground. And instead, only so far as Martin. Now Gridley. Right to the paint of 50 to Bellchambers. Bellchambers. Along the boundary. A long kick, but it was only so far. Is the Clarence defender who will now clear it. Ryan it is, outside 50. This is where Lauderdale have had numbers all day, and this is no exception. Patton finding Bellchambers again. This time a much better kick from Bellchambers, straight into the waiting hands of Andrew Phillips.
Phillips, such a versatile threat. He can drift forward and take a mark and kick a goal as well as anyone. He's got a lot of skills for a big man, so really tough to contain in every facet of the game.
I confirm that Mitch Robinson is a laid out for Lauderdale. Andrew Phillips will kick for goal right in front at 40 metres out. Walters in and misses to the left. So behind to Lauderdale. They now lead it by 7 points. Clarence once again going to this members wing. And once again wrapped up immediately as soon as the clearing kick occurs. Mark could not be controlled by Holmes. And instead we have a stoppage. Phillips goes through the hands of Walsh. Walsh able to track it down. Now Perkins with a scrubbing kick. He was pushed as he kicked though. An advantage has been paid. Patton inside 50. Beautiful tackle applied.
Oh, they've called the trip
that
though.
He just went a little bit too low at the very last moment. And Patton will have a kick. Full goal.
Unlucky, isn't
That
it?
was
Because
very unlucky.
The instinct was right.
Yeah.
The chase was fantastic, but Patton just did well enough to sort of surge away just that little bit and force the tackle to slip low.
Just couldn't quite clasp the hands together and stay around the waist. Instead, slipped to the feet as Patton waltzes in and hits the post. A couple of posters in this first term, Jacob. We approach the 25-minute mark.
A couple of posters and some other chances that haven't been too far off for Lauderdale, so they feel like they've let this slip a little bit. Could have had a bigger buffer as we approach quarter time. And you know that you don't want to give Clarence an opening or any extra leeway to come back, because they'll hit back very hard at some point.
Phillips tries to mark that kick outside 50. Tackle applied by Walsh and another stoppage. Bit of Groundhog Day here on the outer wing, Jacob. We've seen Clarence continually try to clear this ball on this wing and have great difficulty as Mapley contests with Phillips. Goes back inside 50 and the siren goes for a quarter time. Lauderdale in front by 8 points, 2-4-16 to 1-2-8.
Interesting contest so far, isn't it? It's both teams have had their periods of control and dominance. Lauderdale, I would say, have had more of it than the Roos, but it really still is anyone's game here. Neither team able to find consistent fluency and hit the scoreboard regularly, so it'll be an interesting contest from here on in, I think.
Certainly will. A couple of posters and a couple of misses. We'll take a short break. Back to you at the start of the second term of the TSL. Welcome back to SkyBus Oval. Welcome back to SkyBus Oval for round 15 of the TSL season, the Speak Up Stay Chatty Cup. Lauderdale leading Clarence by 8 points at the first change. Phillips goes up against Mapley. It's controlled at the back of the pack by Walsh. Little chipping kick in the direction of Sutton. He's able to hold onto it onto his chest and slows it down a little bit, puts it in front of Siggins. Shaw attempts to control it. He's does a full 360. He's tackled and gives away the free kick. So Clarence to take over early in this second term. Long left foot in the direction of Alomes. Can't be quite controlled. Falls to Harper at the back of the pack. Now right to the 50. Direction of McGuinness. It's forced forward. However, only so far as Martin. Holmes. Pushed before he could kick the ball. Ridley going across the face. And Lauderdale. Great contest applied there by Perkins. Just got it away from Ryan and tied up on the wing, and there'll be a throw-in.
Did really well with the numbers against him, didn't he? Just to bring it to ground, force a stoppage, and give Andrew Phillips the chance to continue his dominance in the air here.
That's Phillips with the tap down the direction of Siggins. Siggins hacks it out of midair, and it just hits the line, and it's out of bounds, not on the full.
As close as you can get, wasn't it? We say that's precision kicking from Siggins when he didn't have a target down the line, or
sometimes the best players just have a little extra layer of luck as well.
That's all you need sometimes.
Phillips, tap down here to Tilly, immediately tackled by Paprotny. Walsh, dispossessed, falls to the back of the pack. Try to be tracked down by Ryan. Instead, it's Franklin that's just pushed off the ball completely. Walsh just tells Holmes about it. And Franklin be able to drive Lauderdale inside 50. Small kick, beautiful kick to Lane. He's already kicked one from a similar position at the other end of the ground on the right-hand side. Tough angle, but we've learnt something about Lane in this contest. It's that he can kick them from anywhere on this ground.
I think that there shows what the best forwards are able to do. Could see from a country mile away that that's where the kick was going as he let out, but still able to get the hands clear and bring it in.
Lane for his second goal. Another brilliant kick. Beautiful kick. Lauderdale's third. Wonderful effort by Jordan Lane for his second of the contest.
And a delayed start to the year, Lane, after joining the Bombers. Returned from a stint in the VFL with Port Melbourne, and now that he's finally starting to get on the field consistently, we're seeing the quality that makes him such a dangerous player and that made him one of the best forwards in the competition with Kingborough. Such a massive boost for Lauderdale.
So Lauderdale firmly on top of this contest now by 14 points. Early stages of this second term. Phillips wins the tap down, but only so far as Norton. Phillips followed up his effort. Mapley overrun. Good tackle applied there by Norton, and another stoppage. Phillips in the Siggins direction. Siggins didn't get boot to ball, but no free kick paid, and yet another stoppage. Lauderdale just inching their way toward their goal. Phillips just takes it out of the ruck that time and hacks it off the left boot inside 50. And here's, guess who? Jordan Lane once again. Will kick for his third, Jacob, and such a presence inside 50. Great overhead mark, great contested mark, and this shot easier than the others. I don't want to put the moz on the man, though.
We'll see what happens, but as you say, he's just such a massive presence in there. A rushed kick on his head, and he's able to pull it down again.
And another one. Jordan Lane, 3 goals. 2 in the first 5 minutes of this second term. Lauderdale out to a game-high 20-point lead. Jacob, all the momentum with the home side, despite Mitch Robinson missing late for personal reasons, they've been able to get a hold of Clarence. And for Clarence, we thought it would be the loss of Josh Green. We thought it might be Ollie Preshaw up forward, but instead it's been their inability around the contest to get it forward anyway. Yeah, Josh Green wouldn't have had many chances if he was playing today.
He wouldn't have, and I think you can put it down to Clarence being a little off the pace maybe, but this is just what Lauderdale were meant to be for this whole season. You look at the names in their midfield as Franklin wins it out again. They should be doing this more often.
Perkins taps it forward, recovers well, hacks it off the left boot in the goalward direction and misses. So Lauderdale just peppering at the moment. Able to get it inside 50 with relative ease, and Clarence, we saw in that first quarter, really broke down around centre half back, centre wing. Just kept hacking it out in that direction and thinking they'd win a contest, and Lauderdale just kept kicking it back over their heads as Holmes, adjacent variety, has it in the back pocket. I think he'll look to do the same thing here. His kick is smothered. Falls in the direction of Franklin. Off hands. Now Glover trying to force it over the line. Blackburn gets it inside 50. Off the boot of Tilly. But another behind as it hits the post. So another life for Clarence.
A little bit fancy there, Tilly. Maybe had time to pick it up. I'm not sure. He might have been run down pretty quickly, but almost made it work regardless.
Speaking of fancy, a lot of footwork being done in the back line by Clarence, and instead it's Glover who elects to slow things down. Be much more confident moving it over this wing, and this is no exception. A centimetre perfect kick to Gapin. And Gapin has Paprotny over the top. Clarence able to chip their way forward to territory they haven't really been able to gain so far in this contest. Free kick given away though here by Loams. He didn't have position, and it was good work by Suki. Poland. Now Lauderdale through the centre of the ground. This is Franklin onto Shaw. Shaw inside 50 over the head of Lane. Lane tracks it down, but it will dribble out of bounds. Have a boundary throw in.
See Reece Sutton there applauding the work of his teammates further afield, and that was really nice, slick ball movement for the Bombers. Final product wasn't quite there to Lane, but they're just having such an easier time getting the ball forward at the moment.
Absolutely. Lane
wins the free kick, I think, out of the ruck there. Holmes just fell into the back of him a little bit as the ball escaped both of them.
It's been a dirty day for Noah Holmes so far. Andrew Phillips had a really good first quarter. He hasn't really done much wrong. It's just been the height, the size of Phillips able to win the contest. Just able to position himself better in the ruck contest, and that time just a minor mistake costing him another shot on goal for Jordan Lane. His heel kick for his fourth. Lane misses to the left, so behind to Lane.
See what, most of his kicks so far today have never looked like missing. That one never looked like going through the middle.
Clarence. Him down. Howard in the Harper direction. He sees it over the line, and another boundary throw in.
Again, they've been able to pick their way down the wings at times, Clarence, but they are getting forced wide every time, and anytime there's a stoppage, it just moves things back in Lauderdale's favour, because they do have Phillips there just controlling everything in the ruck.
Everything's been difficult, and this is no exception. Phillips directly down to Siggins in the Sutton direction. Tries to find Phillips over the top. Siggins applies a tackle, and the crowd wanted deliberate. And they were not granted deliberate. Hanslow did enough to disguise the fact that it was going over the line anyway.
There's a bit of positioning here as we have a ball up at the wing circle that's painted on for some reason.
Holmes able to win that contest and Hackett outside the ruck duel, but only so far as Hackett to Rackett. McGuinness to Hooker. Hooker further afield to Patton. Patton takes a bounce, goes inside 50. Chips it to the top of the square, but only so far as Holmes, who's immediately pushed to the ground by Siggins. Probably a little bit of mayo on that. The umpire did not reward that with a 50. That's probably what Jason Holmes was shooting for. But
I think so, and I will say, even if it wasn't a bit of mayo, if I ran into Sam Siggins, I would probably fall over as well, if I'm being completely honest.
James Holmes kicks it just inside the 50 and a boundary throw in as it dribbles across the line. Holmes versus Phillips. Holmes takes it out of the ruck, but dispossessed immediately. Now, Tilly to the outside, and it's seen over the line by Hooker. Lauderdale in front by 23 points, the 11-minute mark of this second term.
Love to be a fly on the wall in the Clarence coach's box at the moment. It's just hard to see what they can do to shift the momentum at this stage.
Phillips inside 50 with a left boot straight out of the ruck. Went straight over the head of all Clarence players, but must have just missed the line. And another boundary throw in, this time deep inside 50 for Lauderdale. So everything breaking Lauderdale's way as Lane, who's kicked 3 so far, goes up to take this ruck contest. Last time Holmes gave away a free kick. There's a lot of body work here. It falls in front of both players. Instead, tracked down by Hanslow. Hanslow eventually able to clear, and Clarence go forward to a 2-on-2 contest. Martin did well, but only so far. It was Paprotny. Paprotny to centre wing. Recovered well by Shaw. Tackle applied to Rackett by Cooney. The stoppage. This is better from Clarence. It's Mapley will go up against Phillips in the ruck contest this time, and he's able to win it. Mapley in the Newton direction. Instead, ball spills to the centre of the contest. Clarence able to control, goes the direction of Gapin. Great tackle applied. Shaw. And now a hack kick to centre wing, where Bealey will take it for Clarence. Bealey to Ryan. Inside 50. There's a push here. Free kick will be rewarded to Poland. It was pushed by Noonan.
For a second there, like he might take the mark from ground level. It just about fell into his gut as he went to ground, but got the free kick regardless.
So McGuinness, just with a poor kick. He'll get another chance here, though, to clear it. Go straight down the guts.
Great kick.
He's the star, Phillips. He's got wide options. He will use one. This is Rackett. Rackett goes around his opponent. Goes right to the boundary line. Shaw couldn't quite track that down. He was able to touch it before it was out of bounds on the full.
A little bit unlucky there. Just looked like he lost his footing at the wrong moment. Saying earlier, the surface looks pretty good, but we've seen a few players go down, so a bit slippery after all the rain we've had during the week.
We saw a really long stoppage in the other game, the Kingborough versus North Hobart game earlier, through injury. So we hope that everyone's well and it's not too serious here at North Hobart Oval. I believe play was able to resume after about 15 minutes, Jacob, but we wish all the players there well.
Never good to see injuries in a game of footy, especially something serious like that. So keep our fingers crossed that it's the best case scenario.
Noonan just puts his knees into the back of Walsh, and Walsh is rewarded with a free kick. So Noonan doing really well to throw himself into the contest here. A little overzealous at times, as that's a beautiful kick to Lane.
Good.
Lane just getting off the leash.
Don't know if everyone heard the shout from the crowd there of who's on him, but I think it's a good question at the moment.
It's a great question.
Jordan Lane getting everything that he wants. As he'll line up for this one in front of the Lauderdale can bar. I'm sure they'll enjoy it if he can kick this one from the pocket.
So Lane for goal number 4. Kicked a similar one in the first quarter from the pocket. Looks pretty good, but this one is offline.
Gave it every chance, didn't he, from the tight angle. You look at that discrepancy in scoring shots. Lauderdale, they put on some pressure. He could have another chance.
Beautiful work here by Shaw. Chipping kick in the direction of Broomhall. Broomhall not able to track it down. It's Holmes with really good defensive work to get it over the boundary line for a throw-in, but a poor kick in, giving Lauderdale another chance. They've had a few wasted opportunities here. 4 goals, 8, but Clarence only having 3 scoring shots. Doesn't really matter. Lane versus Holmes in the ruck. Holmes takes it straight out of the ruck, but another free kick. And this one will go again to Jordan Lane. So Lane versus Holmes in the forward 50, causing a bit of havoc for the Clarence Roos.
You just have to wonder whether Holmes, in some of his matchups this year, he's been so much stronger than his opponent. They've just sort of bounced off him or been shifted more easily as he's getting some more resistance from some big bodies here, maybe just causing some issues as he gets tangled up.
Do need to probably try a little bit different structure inside defensive 50. Clarence as Lane rears back and misses. That's his 3rd behind of the quarter. That would be 3 goals, 3 for Lane in this one. Lauderdale move to 4 goals, 9. Holmes will take the kick-in duties after the previous indiscretion in the direction of Harper. Is across the face of goal. Clarence hemmed in here. Can't really get anything going. In the direction of Fisher. Holmes tracks it down. The captain doing everything he can to try and keep his team in the contest. That was a poor handball, though. Now with Lauderdale, they're just lining up.
Smart kick from Hooker there, wasn't it? Just to find some players in space, and now they can reload again.
Patton to Sutton. Buys himself about 10 metres, but a tighter angle. So Reece Sutton sets it up to the hot spot. Cut off immediately by Bealey. Poor kick though, once again. Sutton followed up, did really good work. The standout for me is just the 2nd and 3rd efforts of the Lauderdale players versus the Clarence players. They're making a lot of errors by foot, Clarence, but Lauderdale just throwing themselves at everything.
Yeah, it only has to be a tiny bit off, and Lauderdale are pouncing on it and just bringing a mountain of pressure.
Tilly out of thin air. Can't quite get that one to go.
Again there. That pressure is just fantastic. Bryce Walsh, how many times have we seen that over his career? And you can hear how much the Lauderdale crowd's enjoying this, just relishing all these second efforts and little things that are paying off so far.
The discrepancy in 1%ers would be gargantuan at this point. Hooker hacks it out of the air. Tackle applied and another stoppage.
Lauderdale players appealing for a mark there, saying it wasn't touched, but I don't think that would have travelled far enough.
A few follow-up efforts by Sutton as Holmes taps it, but in the direction of Franklin and seen over the line for a boundary throw-in. Holmes and Lane fighting again. Walsh in there. Lane tries to track it down. Can't quite grasp it though. Escapes the contest. Balls boom. Now Gridley. Back in the direction of Poland. Poland drives it inside 50. Over the back was Blackburn. Couldn't control it though. Followed up and tackled. And another boundary, another ball up, excuse me. The hot spot for Lauderdale.
Again there, Blackburn was caught behind, not in the best position, but brought it to ground and then followed up really well with the tackle.
Holmes ragdolled lane there. Franklin dispossessed, goes again. Out to Patton. Patton, beautiful little chipping kick to Walsh, who's already kicked one. And will run around onto the right boot, right to the hot spot. Holmes immediately tackled and a hack out of thin air. And a goal.
Just sums it up,
Perkins.
doesn't it? Something out of nothing for Lauderdale. Perkins just pouncing on a loose handball and throwing it on the boot. It's what they've been able to do. They've been able to force mistakes and take advantage, well, some of the time so far, but it's been enough to build a handy lead.
I've got to call out Sam Tilley there, who's obviously one of Lauderdale's better players, but his ability to put a body on Holmes and force that difficult handball just gave Perkins a half chance that he needed in the hot spot. As we said, Lauderdale just locking it in the most important position on the ground for them, right in front of goal.
Yeah, and that's the thing. They've been able to win it out of the middle and get it there. The service there hasn't always been perfect. The execution hasn't always been perfect, but once it's there, they're not letting it out easily. And that's why they've been able to restrict Clarence so much while maybe not converting as much as they would like, but putting scoreboard pressure on at the other end.
When you've only had 3 scoring shots with Clarence, I mean, 5-9 doesn't really matter as Phillips taps it directly down to Siggins. Getting it forward is Patton. And now Walsh inside 50. But nice body work applied. And Clarence will clear. Gapin off and running along the wing to Cooney. And out of bounds, or at least a mark, to Poland. Here we go again through Walsh. He slipped as he kicked, but still was able to get it to the middle of the ground. Tracked down by Norton. He was tackled. Clarence inside 50, only so far as that man again, Poland, who's been everywhere.
You wonder there whether Clarence's forwards are not seeing much service. Seemed like they were just on their heels a bit on that occasion. It's been a quiet day for them. Maybe they weren't ready for that one coming in.
McGuinness. Now a long kick to the flank in the lane direction. Paprotny there. Instead controlled by Harper. Harper caught one and seen over the line for a boundary throw and a little bit of argy-bargy to go on with, and there'll be a free kick to Bealey. Just a little bit too much attention applied to Bealey.
Harper's still looking very sore there. I think he just got a knee to the head as someone ran past him. Inadvertent, but would still hurt quite a bit, I would think.
You should not kick it straight down the throat of Andrew Phillips if you can help it.
It's a big target to try and avoid.
Phillips right to the boundary line. And a great effort from Hooker to stop that from going out of bounds on the full. We've seen that a couple of times from Lauderdale and exemplifies what they've been able to do in this first half, Jacob. They're throwing themselves at absolutely everything. They want this victory badly. Clarence don't look like they want it quite so badly.
Yeah, and I don't think you can pick out a Lauderdale player who hasn't really gone at 100% here and, as you say, thrown themselves into every contest. Siggins is wrapped up quickly there. It has been a whole of team effort to this point, and that's why it's working so well.
Holmes controls the contest out to Hanslow. In the hands of Alomes. A strong mark to Suki. Took it over Mapley. Poland. Opponent's bearing down on him, Walsh. Spots a teammate on the outer wing. And Perkins. Lauderdale just taking the tempo out of the game here. They sensed that Clarence were streaking forward and they're lining up in the defensive 50. This is Martin. And now Sutton. Sutton The good kick onto the chest of Hooker, but he couldn't quite control it. Hooker then went on and infringed. Here's Harper. Here's Paprotny. Paprotny inside 50. A scrubbing ball. It's not going to quite get to the line, and it was disguised really nicely by Shaw as McGuinness takes the kick out.
A little bit awkwardly handled there, but just snuck it over the line in the end. Did what he needed to do.
Here's Poland. He's had a lot of it across the defensive side of the ground. Kicked it over the head of Shaw. Now here's Holmes for Clarence. Gets it to Norton. Norton to Hanslow. And now to Harper, who copped one earlier. It was a high up and under handball. Tracked down by Blackburn. And now Phillips. Now Sutton. McGuinness outside of defensive 50. And here's the tall Hooker. Hooker just slightly undercooked that kick. McGuinness tracked it down though, and Lauderdale just lining up here. Easy mark to Tilley. Tilley had plenty of time, put it in the direction of Blackburn, couldn't quite control it. Howard tried to. Ends up in the hands of Glover.
As I said, Tilley couldn't quite find the target, but just waltzing towards the 50 on that occasion. No pressure in sight.
Glover has Harper and Borsboom, but he ignored Borsboom short, went to Harper. It's going back over his head now. Racket in the Siggins direction. Instead falls to Franklin. Franklin off the left. And an easy mark
kick
to Perkins, who kicked the last one out of thin air, and this one will have a chance to go back and have a think about it.
How good was that from Nat Franklin? Just
Brilliant.
Kind of kicking across his body almost into that pocket on his left. Looked like he'd missed the first target, but had a player sneaking in behind there who was able to mark, and now we'll see a kick for goal from Perkins to build this lead even further.
He's missed to the right-hand side as Perkins, so kicked the hack out of air and couldn't quite get the one on the 45-degree angle. So now a 31-point victory. Lauderdale doing it the long way with a lot of behinds here. They're up to 5 goals, 10, as Holmes has it in the back pocket for Clarence. And there it is, half-time. That 31-point margin will remain. And Jacob, we've talked about it all game long, and Clarence just not able to get anything on their terms. Lauderdale much harder to the ball, first to the ball, and able to get clean use. And even when they weren't, they were able to gain territory.
Yeah, and I think that phrase you've used is really key, on their terms. This game has been played at their tempo, the style that they want, the way that they want to play their footy. They've got big bodies around the middle, so they've made it a contest. They've been able to win it out of the centre, get it forward, and then just lock it in with those pressure players, really making life hard for Clarence. And it's easy to see why the Roos haven't been able to put score on the board, because they just haven't been able to move the ball or get it out of their defensive half. So it's not, I don't think, the score we were expecting coming into this game, but it's hard to argue that it's anything but fair at the moment, the margin that's on the scoreboard.
And with 5 goals, 10, you could make an argument that it should be higher.
Yeah, definitely.
1 goal, 3 to Clarence. They barely had an opportunity that quarter to even register on the scoreboard. The only one that they had was a tumbling ball where they had no one inside 50, and Lauderdale defender was able to track it down, and Shaw was able to force it to the post and over the line in a way that wasn't deliberate. But for Lauderdale, they just kept kicking it back over Clarence heads all second quarter long. Take a break here. It is round 15 of the TSL 2024 season. Speak Up, Stay Chatty Cup. The Lauderdale Bombers leading Clarence 40-9. Welcome back to SkyBus Oval as Lauderdale are right in the centre of the ground preparing to go into battle for the second half. Dominant performance in the first half by the Bombers. They lead by 31 points over Clarence, who during that second quarter were barely able to get it inside 50. Some worrying signs for the side that's second on the ladder in the competition. Adam Webster with you for this second term, or this second half, and joined once again by my broadcast partner Jacob Dool. And Jacob, worrying signs for Clarence. A concern as we head into this second half that they're not able to get the ball forward of centre without great difficulty and immediately it going back over their heads.
Yeah, I think full credit to Lauderdale so far in this game, the pressure that they've been able to bring, just the intensity across the ground. It's been really impressive and something that they've maybe been lacking in patches this year. So we know how much talent they've got out on the field, but if they can bring this kind of effort every week, then as they're showing here, they're a team to be reckoned with.
So it's Phillips down in the Siggins direction. Off the back of the square came Tilly. Paprotny. Now Tilly, not able to track it down, overruns it. Bell Chambers. Handball out to a contest, a tie-up. An early stoppage. Just forward of centre on the wing for Lauderdale. Holmes and Phillips battling it out in the ruck. Little tap to Siggins. And then Hooker. Hooker was tackled by Paprotny.
Taken a little bit high there maybe,
yep,
so Lauderdale again be able to drive it inside 50 early.
Unable to be marked. Here's Shaw. Shaw handballs it across to Hooker. Hooker to Tilly. Tilly inside 50. And here's that man again. Jordan Lane kicking 3 goals in the first half and immediately with a contested mark to start the second half. And he's been unstoppable.
He has just read that ball better, didn't he? You saw, I think it was Liam Howard sort of trying to get to the ball first and beat him to it, but drifted over his head and Lane was in the perfect position. There really hasn't been a solution for the threat that he's posed so far in this game.
So Lane for his fourth. Pushes it across to the right-hand side of goal. And Bealey take it out of the goal square for Clarence. See if they're able to get anything positive going, the Roos. Has not been their day at all. Bealey. A searching kick over the back of the pack. Ryan, but he couldn't take down that mark and stoppage.
I think after that miss there, Jordan Lane now has 3 goals 4 for the day.
Yeah, he does.
Yep. Could have been a really big bag already. Be hoping to add to the goal tally a bit more before the day's done.
Holmes finally able to take one out of the ruck. However, falls to Broomhall. And now Sutton is able to keep it in, tracks it down again. This time it's McGuinness that's tackled. And another stoppage. Good tackle applied by Borsboom. Phillips, easy tap down in the Siggins direction. He thought he was held by Norton, but instead, boundary throw in.
Got a bit of a lull here. Game in Launceston just back from half-time. North Launceston leading 52 to Launceston 13. So the ladder leaders taking care of business as their nearest challengers so far this year. Clarence are struggling here.
Norton applies a tackle to Phillips. They should be holding the ball. No. No prior according to the umpire. Holmes. Been able to win a couple of contests in this one, but this one only falls as far as McGuinness. Goes to the wing. Couldn't be controlled there by Tilly. Overrunning it was Harper. Now falls to Norton. Norton tackled. Beautiful tackle applied by Shaw. He'll be rewarded with a free kick for holding the ball. So Shaw, the chip in the Sutton direction. It's overrun. Siggins sees it over the line for a boundary throw-in.
It's a seriously high-powered matchup there, Siggins on Norton. Not exactly the same type of player, but good to see two stars of the comp going head-to-head like that.
Holmes able to get away from Phillips and hack it out with a left boot. Falls short of Cooney. Falls into the hands of Hanslow. Now inside 50. Ball can't be controlled. Trickles over the line with Dolliver and Poland seeing it across. And Clarence with an early inside 50. So better signs for the Roos.
It feels like it's starting with Holmes' efforts in the ruck, doesn't it? He won that clearance himself there, but just slowing some of the momentum out of the middle for Lauderdale. We see Mapley taking this one here.
Phillips with the easy contest win. And then a strong tackle applied by Gridley on Cox. Sees another ball up. Mapley and Phillips. Phillips just takes it straight out of the ruck. A little worm burner. Falls past Shaw. Overrunning it is Richards. Now falls to Shaw. A little scrubbing left boot in the direction of Lane. Lane back to Tilly. Tilly right along the boundary line in the Shaw direction. And touched over the line. Good contest created by Harper, but Shaw worked back nicely. Holmes shoves Phillips out of the way and wins that contest. Paprotny immediately tackled by Tilly, but was infringed by Phillips on the way through. Holmes calls for it and has it. Drives it directly down the centre of the field, but only so far as Franklin kicks it further afield to Walsh. Now Sutton. Sutton with a little chipping ball. Is Blackburn going in the lane direction, and we know what happens when you do that in a contested situation in this contest. Lane is just a man mountain, and Clarence have had no answers for him all day long.
No, and you could see him there feeling for the contact from his defender. He wanted the body contact, didn't get it, but that just meant that the Clarence player was left to lunge in at the last minute and give away the free kick. So really is a no-win scenario when Jordan Lane's in this kind of form.
He's clunking absolutely everything, Jordan Lane. He approaches and attempts his fourth goal. He has kicked it. He's up to 4 goals for Jordan Lane. Lauderdale with their 6th goal of the contest. They are 6-11-47. Clarence 1-3-9. We predicted before the game that it could be a game that Lauderdale would be able to win, a little bit of a boil over, but 38 points was not in the predictions, Jacob.
Don't think we're expecting that kind of margin as we creep towards the halfway point of the third term. The sirens would have already been going off in the Clarence coaches box and rooms, but I wonder whether they start to hit the panic button soon and swing some changes, because the things that have worked for them so well this year have been completely nullified by Lauderdale, and they have to do something if they want to claw their way back into this game.
Phillips with a decisive win. Following up, though, was Hanslow. He was tackled by Phillips, and another stoppage right in the centre. Phillips in the Siggins direction. He overran it, though. Franklin attempted to get it. Ryan to Paprotny inside 50. Over the back. Beautiful mark there from Mapley. Mapley, of course, replacing Josh Green and Ollie Preshaw up forward in this contest, and his first real opportunity to influence the scoreboard. But we've seen Lauderdale do so well in contested marking situations, Jacob, and now Clarence are able to bear a bit of fruit themselves.
A really strong mark from a young talent as he kicks for goal here. Hangs it out right. Never working back, but Mapley very highly regarded by a lot of people. Young ruckman.
It's a big lad. This is Poland. Playing on and getting it right to centre wing. Siggins hasn't really been able to get his hands on the footy today. It's probably the one win that Clarence have had in this contest, Jacob, that Siggins hasn't really been able to get that clean use around the ball.
No, and I think Alan Christensen said in his presser this week that they don't want to be a team that relies on one or two stars to do all the heavy lifting, and that's been on show here because, as you say, not Siggins' most prolific game, and yet they're still streaking away.
His hooker to Blackburn. Now Walsh inside 50, and guess who? Jordan Lane with a fantastic lead and a really nice kick from Walsh.
And I love the celebration there from the players involved in that chain.
They all went to Walsh, didn't they?
Yeah.
It's great.
But I think Blackburn as well, presenting up the ground and getting the handball off immediately.
Yes.
Just really quick, decisive movement. And that's what's been so good for them today.
So Lane for a bag. And misses to the left. So that's 4 goals 5 for Jordan Lane in this contest. 6-12 for Lauderdale. Clarence move it in the direction of Howard. Spills to the back of the pack and goes out of bounds. Centre wing. Throw in.
We kind of felt like early in this quarter Clarence had found their footing and were in the contest, and yet you look at the scoreboard. They haven't scored this term.
Yeah.
Lauderdale all of a sudden back on the front foot, so they've had a response to the Bombers. It's been really impressive again here.
And able to find a little bit of space, Lauderdale is now finally. It was great by Walsh. Brilliant to Franklin. Inside 50 once again. Once again another chest mark. This time to Blackburn. Blackburn looking for Lane. Just overcooked it slightly. Mapley able to track back. They've made the change and brought the big ruckman to the back line. Going through the centre of the ground is Ryan. He can't quite track that down. Patton has it. Takes a bounce. Long handball. Further afield. Now back to Patton. It's Broomhall and Patton combining. Hooker can't quite take the mark. Patton again in this contest. Second, third efforts. This has been the hallmark of this Lauderdale side today as Hooker goes inside 50, top of the square, and can't quite be marked by Blackburn, just through his fingers. Ended up hitting the behind post. It'll be a boundary throw in, deep inside forward 50. Couldn't possibly be deeper for the Bombers.
This speaks to the versatility that Lauderdale have. We've seen Lane taking stoppages inside 50, Phillips. Now they throw Sam Siggins in there, who's always dangerous.
Siggins just takes it out of the ruck, gives it straight to Lane. Lane with the right foot, banana for 5. Jordan Lane. A star performance at SkyBus Oval. And what a great give from Sam Siggins. Just tackled, saw Lane front and square, and then he's missed a lot of set shots today, Jordan Lane, but he's kicked a couple of wonderful snaps.
You look at the scoreboard, 7 goals for the team. He's kicked 5 of them. 12 behinds for the team. He's kicked 4 or 5 of them as well. He has been the number 1 target.
Yep.
But at the same time, it doesn't feel like anything's been forced to him. I don't think they've been overdoing it. You see that sometimes, but we've seen Blackburn, Campbell Hooker be involved. Phillips has gone forward and provided a contest. It does feel like things have just naturally flowed to Lane because he's been getting in such good positions.
Phillips just shoves Norton out of the way, gets it further afield to Walsh. Walsh in the direction of Shaw. Tackle applied by Glover and another stoppage. Holmes just belts it out of the ruck. In the direction of Ryan. However, it falls directly to Hooker. He gave it away to Cooney. Cooney Searching kick to Howard. Howard just handballed at the wrong time to Ryan. He's forced to track back. Ryan has it, throws it on the left boot. Everything's been hard for Clarence. Getting back and taking the mark is Martin. Martin to the outer wing, to a contest. Hooker able to force the stoppage despite being outnumbered. Phillips versus Alomes in the ruck this time. Phillips over to Walsh. And now Howard back to Walsh. And a beautiful tackle applied by Alomes on Hooker.
Slick hands once again, wasn't it?
Ryan.
At the last step, just get off a bit more than they could chew. Some good pressure from Clarence. They need to convert something here, though.
So Ryan, inside 50, low hard ball over the head of his forward target. Tackle applied, and this is better from Clarence, able to lock it inside 50, something that they just simply haven't been able to do in this contest.
No, they haven't, but they just need to get something on the scoreboard, don't they, just to feel like they're back in this game.
Alomes out of the ruck, but directly to Walsh. Walsh with a clearing kick. Holmes with a punch inside 50. Paprotny. And now Noonan with a snap. It's the behind post off the bounce, and another stoppage deep inside 50 for Clarence.
As you've said, repeat entries here at least is a positive step for Clarence. They're finding their footing a little bit in general play maybe, but can they take that next step and just start to peg this lead back a bit?
Ball falls to no one. Howard struggled to comprehend that ball, and in the end it was Perkins who was tackled, and another stoppage. Phillips. Gives it directly to a Clarence player who is gang tackled by 3 opponents. There's Paprotny. A bit of argy-bargy afterwards.
Surprised there hasn't been more, honestly. This matchup always has a bit of feeling in it. Fairly even-tempered so far.
Phillips in the direction of Walsh. Walsh infringed over the shoulder. So it'll be a free kick to Ryan inside 50. And a chance for Clarence to add to what so far has been a frustratingly low total for them. Just 4 scoring shots.
They've had 1 behind since quarter time, Clarence, so they need this.
Ryan runs around and gets it. That's better by the Roos. Great kick there by Keegan Ryan to register the second of the day for the Clarence Football Club. Reduce the margin back down to 39.
Ryan having another strong season, running through the midfield, but able to go forward and have an impact too. That's a really classy finish there. And in a game where your team's struggling to generate scoring shots, you really need to take advantage of everything that you can get. So they're on the board now. They've kicked their first goal since the first term. Can they make a run here and put Lauderdale under some pressure heading into the last quarter?
Lauderdale with the first 2 of this third term. Clarence responding with one of their own. They kicked one in the first term. That's the second of the match as Phillips. And so far as Paprotny, and now Norton inside 50. Clarence with a bit more confidence this time, but it's only so far as Shaw. Shaw searching handball to Sutton. Sutton with a little chipping ball to Broomhall. Broomhall tracks back to Perkins, and now to Shaw. Switching the play as they've done a couple of times. Hasn't been really inside the defensive 50 too much for Lauderdale, so we wouldn't know. Dolliver tracks it down though for Clarence. Manages to get a handball out in the Beerley direction. He's tackled. And a stoppage inside 50. So another entry for Clarence, repeat entries.
We've seen Lauderdale On the rare occasion it has been down in their defensive half, sort of be able to waltz out most occasions. So good from Clarence to bring some pressure in the air and get the ball back on their terms.
Clarence just throwing a few different looks at Phillips, with Harper taking that ruck contest and this one. Phillips with a huge punch over the top in the direction of Shaw. Norton is tackled by Walsh. And another stoppage inside 50 for Clarence. So Lauderdale not able to clear it. Harper versus Phillips. Phillips with an easy win. Out the back to Shaw. To Poland. Poland outside 50. Phillips. It was Fisher. Tried to control that one and instead forced a stoppage. So it'll be Holmes. And running back to this contest is Phillips. Phillips to Siggins. Overrunning it was Hanslow. Now in there is Franklin, and it's Hooker tackled for another stoppage. This is the greatness of Andrew Phillips. He's just able to cover so much ground as Holmes taps it directly down to Siggins in another stoppage. But you saw Harper in the forward 50 taking those stoppages, and then the ball approached centre wing. Noah Holmes got back involved, but Andrew Phillips just was right there again and said, yep, it's mine.
I think it really does show the level that these AFL athletes are on, that he's the size he is and the skill he is and the athleticism all in one package.
Cox to Paprotny inside 50. Ball tracked down by Borsboom, but instead Franklin clears it to centre wing. Siggins to Shaw, takes a bounce. Inside 50. Lane able to get it to the front of the pack. Lane handballs directly over the top. Track down, off hands and a behind. And Clarence going end to end here and trying to clear this ball quickly. It's Hanslow to Borsboom.
The way that Jordan Lane's been going today, I thought he was going to reel that in with one hand there when it came to him, one out inside 50.
So much confidence that he's playing with. It's put young Noonan under a little bit of, young Cooney under a little bit of pressure. Got my mid-90s Clarence Premiership players mixed up there. Just to carve up my demons way back in the day. Now here's Hanslow. Contest provided by Hooker. Gapin, another son of a gun. Here's Noonan. Handball over the top. Ryan tackling Franklin. And Patton sees it over the line. This is much more positive from Clarence at the mid and late way parts of this third term.
It is. It feels like they're back in the fight now, doesn't it? And sort of drag themselves in general play back to level footing. The problem is that they've got themselves in a 40-point hole that they need to dig out of.
Good tap by Alomes, but it was straight to a Lauderdale player as Broomhall tries to track this one down and a beautiful mark, despite the attention of Cox. Lauderdale want to move it and move it quickly as they go to centre wing. And Blackburn will see them inside 50 once again, just outside 50. Is Patton. Patton looking for Lane. He's off a bounce. Lane back to Patton. Patton with a shot. Off the side of the boot though, fading. And it bounced inside the line. Not a great deal of chase there from the Clarence defender. I think he thought it was going to go out the full, but maybe the wind played a part, Jacob.
Yeah, it's hard to say, isn't it? But just a little bit messy. Given the situation they're in, they really need to...
Can't make mistakes.
...tidy those things up, because now you've got Siggins again with a chance inside 50 from the stoppage.
Siggins hacks it out of thin air. Goes over the top of Broomhall in the Blackburn direction, and another stoppage inside 50 for the Bombers. They lead it by 40.
Again, for all our talk about how Clarence are back in this fight, Lauderdale once again locking it inside 50 here, and if they can kick a goal, that undoes about 20 minutes of hard work from Clarence.
Holmes just a Jog Benito style hack And now Clarence to centre wing. It's a hard hit on Dolliver. It's taking a little minute to get up. It's limping. Clarence with a chance to think their way through this. They instead go long to a contest. It's about 5-on-2. The two might win. That was Hanslow. Direction of Borsboom. And now Ryan inside 50 to an unguarded Harper.
That was good composure from Ryan there, wasn't it? Once he shook off the man right in his back, realised he had a bit of time to stop and assess, find a target, able to hit Harper on the chest.
So Harper, the shot deep outside 50. Kicked this from about 55 metres out. Slight angle. Goes around the man on the mark, gains a bit of distance and pushes it to the right. Behind to Clarence. Margin is now inside of that 40-point barrier. Late stages of this third term, as Poland clears it outside 50. Siggins is ragdolled by Holmes, and Holmes has earned himself a free kick. I did not understand what that free kick was for, and it turns out that Holmes was just trying to convince everyone that it was his ball. It wasn't.
It looked a little bit like maybe a bit of holding either way, but
yeah. Paprotny. Kick to Hanslow and then back to Paprotny. A low ball. Harper couldn't quite handle it. Paprotny with another chance, but Holmes collected high by Siggins, so they're having a little bit of back and forth.
That's why he's wearing a helmet, maybe. Siggins fairly agricultural on that tackle, but it's the free kick.
Is Noonan. It's great to see so many names in this Clarence side of old making their new home as the ball is cleared through Hooker. Now it's with Broomhall. Broomhall just too low for Lane. Lane not happy with the service there, but he's had some pretty good service in this contest as the three-quarter time siren sounds. And we have a 39-point margin in favour of Lauderdale. Tough to see Clarence coming back from this sort of margin, particularly kicking to the left of screen in the fourth term.
I mean, if you told me that we would in the fourth quarter get the Clarence that we've seen for this whole season versus the Lauderdale that we've seen for this whole season, I'd say 39 points is possible, but it would just have to be such a radical shift, wouldn't it, in momentum, where Lauderdale have been the better team really for this entire game. I think it's tough to argue with the score on the scoreboard. So you're right, it's a big hole for the Roos to try and claw their way out of now.
And we've said it, but Ollie Green and Ollie Preshaw and Josh Green missing this contest wouldn't really have made all that much of a difference around the ground. The biggest trouble that Clarence have had has been getting it inside 50. So those players would have had to push up and get involved a little bit more in the contest, because that's where Lauderdale have been able to get the ascendancy, particularly at stoppages, with Andrew Phillips playing a starring role as per usual. We'll take a brief break ahead of the fourth term. This is round 15 of the TSL season, the Speak Up Stay Chatty Cup. Lauderdale lead Clarence by 39 points. Welcome back to round 15 of the TSL season, the 11th Speak Up, Stay Chatty Cup. And with one hand on the cup as we enter this final term, it's the Lauderdale Bombers leading Clarence by 39 points at SkyBus Oval. Adam Webster with you once again, joined by my broadcast partner Jacob Dool. And Jacob, Clarence just not really able to get anything going forward of centre.
No, they found a little bit of footing in the middle of the ground, winning the ball a bit more regularly, but as you say, just couldn't put anything on the scoreboard. Just the one goal in that quarter. They've kicked 2 for the day, so to come back from a deficit of 39 points now feels like a tall order, but we'll say stranger things have happened in the TSL before, haven't they? So we'll watch with interest to see if maybe the unlikely might be possible.
Andrew Phillips with a dominant day in the ruck, and Jordan Lane with 5 goals out of the 7 that have been kicked by Lauderdale so far in this contest, as we're preparing for the umpire to get things ready. And it is time for the final term here on this Saturday afternoon. Pleasure to be with you as Holmes able to take it out of the ruck after Phillips has a spill. Gets it forward as quickly as he can, tracked down by Martin. Falls to Harper. Dispossessed, and Horseboom tries to track it down. Disguised really well by Martin. A boundary throw in forward of centre for the Clarence Football Club. Phillips just signals he's going to tap to the front of the pack, and he does just that. Running straight onto it was Perkins. It was beautifully telegraphed by Phillips. And just a dominant display where you can just tell your midfield behind your opposition's back where you're going to tap it, and they're going to be there.
Yeah, and I feel like there's been a lot of occasions where it feels like Lauderdale have extra numbers in there because they're getting 2 to the ball every time. But as you say, that's just because they know where it's going to go. They're so confident in Phillips' ability to win it down and send it where he says he will.
That was good by Holmes, though. Pushed Phillips out of the way and won that contest. Once again inside 50, but tracked down by Bellchambers. Bellchambers across to Gridley. Centre of the ground, here's Tilly. Tilly streaking forward. In the direction of Franklin. He overran it. Holmes in there, as is Harper. Richards. Now over the line for a boundary throw-in. Holmes doing a much better job of getting Andrew Phillips under the ball and then hacking it out as Noonan taps in the direction of Cox. Cox to the outer wing. He's looking for Harper, finds him. Here's Borsboom, putting the afterburners on, kicking it inside 50, but only so far as Poland.
How many times have we seen that where Clarence finally get a little bit of speed in their ball movement, but just fall at the final hurdle?
Just goes through Tilly's hands. Hanslow. Now Glover. The Roos back inside 50, a 2-on-2 contest, and too big, too strong was Martin. Martin to Shaw. Couldn't control the mark, but could control the ball. In the direction of Phillips. Phillips is tackled immediately by Borsboom. That was good. Falls to Perkins. Perkins over the top to Siggins. Siggins just forward of centre on the wing. Searching for Lane. Here he is again. Beautiful set of hands by Jordan Lane. 5 goals already, looking for his 6th.
Just rinse and repeat, isn't it, for Lauderdale at the moment? Anytime it's in the vicinity of Jordan Lane, it feels like it's going to stick in his hands, and I've seen him have at least one shot from this spot earlier in the game. We'll see if he can convert here.
And great vision by Sam Siggins to find Jordan Lane on a strong lead. He's made some very strong leads and been allowed to by the Clarence defence. Lane drives it long, but just misses to the near side. It was Lauderdale to 7 goals, 14. But their inaccuracy has not mattered. Holmes. Back pocket now as Fisher goes to centre wing. Holmes with the punch. Harper couldn't control it. Great little handball over the top by Suki. Now here's Walsh driving it inside 50. Can't be controlled by Lane. That was good by Mapley. Tackle applied and a stoppage inside 50 for Lauderdale. So Mapley's been moved onto Lane, maybe for a bit of a lesson in how this sort of thing should work.
That is something that Mapley's done well at the under-18 level for Tasmania Devils, able to play in the middle and at both ends of the ground.
As straight out of the contest, a brilliant goal for Walsh. His second of this one. Any hope we had of Clarence potentially eating into this lead has eroded completely 5 minutes into this last term. 62 playing 16, a 46-point lead. There's no coming back now, Jake.
No, it felt like everything had to be perfect for the Roos if they were going to mount a comeback, and that is a decidedly imperfect start for them to this quarter with that goal from Walsh. Really tidy finish.
But Clarence well on their way to suffering just their third loss of this 2024 TSL season. And Lauderdale will move to 7-6 and lift the Stay Chatty Cup. Siggins hacks it out of the contest, but only so far as Johnston. Johnston further afield. An advantage paid to the infringement. As Clarence go inside 50, back of the pack. Good work there by Poland. Overrunning it was everyone. Siggins in there again. He's everywhere as usual. Dolliver is tackled and there'll be a ball up. Phillips in there as well. So even their best players getting back and stopping Clarence from getting any momentum inside 50. A beautiful tap just went directly through the legs of Hooker. Now back with Phillips. Siggins finds it. And further afield, Perkins just undercooked the kick. Bealey, Borsboom, and now Howard inside 50. It'll roll, but not far enough, and Gridley tracks it down well.
Again there, Clarence brings some pressure, force a turnover, but the kick towards the goal square is to a 2-on-1. It feels like Lauderdale are getting the numbers to every contest, as Phillips does pretty well under pressure there to really a tough one.
Bearing down on him was Paprotny, but Phillips equal to the task. Out to centre wing and forced out of bounds by Walsh. Another stoppage. Lauderdale very content to play this stoppage game.
You don't want to put too much stock in one performance, but it does just feel like Lauderdale are finally starting to get to the best version of themselves here. We've seen Bryce Walsh rounding into some strong form. Phillips in the middle with Siggins. Haven't had to be swung forward. Jordan Lane, fit and firing.
Walsh almost lost his head to Noah Holmes, and he's been rewarded for that. But you're right, I mean, if this is the Lauderdale side that's going to show up for the rest of the 2024 season, even without Mitch Robinson, then formidable.
Another dimension sort of in the premiership race as we come down the home stretch.
Thought that it was probably a two-horse race, but this is a dominant statement performance by this Lauderdale side as Franklin finds Lane a long way from home. Puts it directly on the chest of his opponent, Holmes. Holmes just moves directly past Lane, uses the gravity to his advantage, finds Borsboom. Borsboom, chipping kick to Glover, and back to Borsboom. Just a couple of errors. Nothing really working here for Clarence. They're not really able to get anything. As Lane wasn't infringed by Mapley. Mapley did really well there. Also forced Broomhall out of bounds. Apologies, it was Fisher and Mapley sort of combining there in the back line, but That's a win for the Clarence Football Club. Not many wins they've had inside defensive 50 in this contest.
No, taking them wherever they can get them at the moment, and it is getting to the stage of the game with this margin where it is about the little wins, isn't it? So young players making some plays is something you can take moving forward at least and build on.
So Siggins to go up against Mapley. Siggins taps it down in the Franklin direction. Mapley follows up well. Almost taken by Walsh, but instead another stoppage. Siggins with the tap over the top in the Franklin direction. Franklin handballing across to Hooker. Hooker is tackled by Fisher, but he's infringed. And Hooker will get a shot directly in front, about 35 metres out.
And the intent good from Clarence, but just those little mistakes, slipped a bit high as he made that front-on contact, and Fletcher Hooker's the beneficiary. He'll have a kick for goal here. Looking for Lauderdale's 9th of the day.
So Hooker strolls in, makes no mistake, and that is the 9th of the day. Margin out to 51 points. This is a blowout, Jacob.
Yeah, I think we flagged that this game could be, a contest. Lauderdale might be chasing an upset. I don't think we expected a margin like this, the way that it's gone. And not only that, but a performance to match, a really dominant effort across the ground from the Southern Bombers.
And they've been exceptional at SkyBus Oval, and the locals love it. The crowd has been right into this game all day. A 51-point margin nearing the halfway point of this final term. Clarence are just shell-shocked. Holmes. And now Phillips overruns it. Paprotny hacks it. Forward, close to the 50. It's shut down by Lauderdale once again. Good work there in tight by Shaw and by Bell Chambers. Holmes taps it. And Paprotny, another hack kick, but that one was smothered. They scouted that really well. Sutton couldn't quite track it down to Franklin. Perkins was seen over the line.
I think the one thing Clarence can take away from this game, or the one positive, is that it's happened now. It's not happened in the final. It's happened when they've got 2 weeks off coming up. The state game bye next week, and then a bye for the Roos the week after. So they'll have a chance to reset, find their footing again.
Siggins was infringed off the ball by Howard, which caused the free kick, and we'll go further afield in the Phillips direction. Phillips takes an easy mark on centre wing. Well, he made it look easy. Probably wasn't an easy mark. Certainly wouldn't be for you or I, but
it's what Phillips does, though, isn't it?
Phillips.
He's just been so good this year. He's made the difficult look very easy.
Siggins inside 50. Good punch from behind from Fisher. Fisher tracks it down. He's tackled immediately by Shaw. Crowd wants holding the ball. They won't get it. A stoppage inside 50 for Lauderdale. Siggins signalling that he'll contest the ruck against Holmes. Holmes able to tap it down directly to Norton. Norton with a clearing kick in the Phillips direction, though. So no surprises, it goes forward. Here's Jason Holmes. Sutton got right into his back, but was caught holding the ball. He did fall forward. The direction of Shaw. Quite take the mark, and out of bounds right on 50 for the Bombers.
Siggins again taking the forward stoppage here. He's looked really dangerous in these situations so far today. Worked off it well there, though, by Holmes.
Holmes just used his body to his full advantage there. Will only go so far as Shaw, though, and there'll be a stoppage in the middle of the ground. So Lauderdale just been forming a wall around the centre of the ground all day. Every time Clarence try to get it forward, just comes straight back as Phillips punches it in the Norton direction. Now to Siggins. And now Perkins to Shaw. Shaw inside 50, looking for Bellchambers and finding him. Wanted a hold, he wanted 50. Wasn't rewarded. At the halfway mark of this final term, Bellchambers drives it forward in the lane direction. And it's no surprise that he clunked that one as well, Jacob, because everything has been landing in Jordan Lade's hands.
It has, and forward line set up there with Sam Siggins in the vicinity as well, but the only man they should be kicking to right now is Jordan Lane with the way that he's marking the football.
So Lane directly in front, 30 metres out. It was touched off the boot though. It was a real helicopter punt, and I wondered why, but that was why.
It's been a real mixed bag in front of goal, hasn't it, for Lane, as dominant as it's been. I have to say I've lost count on the behinds. Is it 5 goals 6, 5 goals 7 potentially?
Yeah, something like that. It should have been a lot bigger bag. Perkins did a brilliant job against Mapley. Mapley had Mark telegraphed, and instead keeping it in, but a behind. Wonderful work. Once again, just the 1%ers by Lauderdale. Alan Christensen would be absolutely thrilled with the efforts of this Bombers side. Here's Holmes, defensive 50 in the centre of the ground. He goes wide as he possibly can, but only so far as Perkins. He chops it off. So the foot skills have been a little bit off for Clarence today, Jacob.
They have, and that's an area where they've been so clean this year so far, able to pick teams apart with some real precision, but the pressure from Lauderdale's taken its toll.
Shaw to Lane. I've lost count of his marks, but it's double digits at this point.
Looking for a pass. I'd be kicking for goal if I was him today.
Cut off expertly by Hanslow.
I guess I say that he's for as good a game as he's had, the kicking hasn't been a strength, as again Lauderdale bring the pressure.
Wonderful from Sutton. Just came across at full pace, read the play beautifully, chopped it off, and now a chance to shoot for goal. That's reward for effort.
And it feels like on a day where the whole team's brought a ton of pressure across the ground, he's been one of the standouts, working really hard every chance he's had to just force turnovers or create second chances.
Bring the margin ever so close to 10 goals. Sutton pushes it to the right. That's where it's been going in this final term. You've got to wonder if there's a little bit of breeze going across goal at SkyBus Oval. Mapley creates the contest, does what he didn't do last time, which is great. Paprotny, Glover out of the air. And now Johnston has it for Clarence. Johnston looks inboard to Borsboom. Borsboom puts it out in front of Bealey, makes it very tough. And instead, it's able to be locked in. No, Bealey gets it. Gives it away, and now there's an over-the-shoulder free kick against Lauderdale. Go to young Noonan. Further afield. Work put in by Racket, but it's over the line. A boundary throw in close to Clarence's 50. Phillips and Holmes. Phillips takes it out of the ruck. Pushed as he kicked, but hacks it forward. Holmes, but Sutton hacks it forward. A lot of holding from both sides as Glover tries to clear for Clarence. Good work here to stop it by Patton. Sutton, he's been everywhere this last term. Patton, a bit of a hospital handball to Patton, and there's a holding the ball decision. Did not dispose of it appropriately, and a good tackle applied from Glover.
And there's been little moments here from Clarence, hasn't there, where they've been able to build a bit of pressure and win some football, but it just hasn't paid off in any meaningful way.
We've got the numbers here as Cooney feeds Hanslow, finding a bit of territory here. Are the Roos, and they'll lock it up close to their 50.
I've have to say, every time I look at the scoreboard, it's just baffling that a team in the form that Clarence has been in has been held to 17 points here. Lauderdale, we knew had a lot of firepower, but this kind of defensive effort's really impressive.
Beautiful tap, straight down to Walsh. Walsh and Bell-Chambers combine.
Risky kick, but it comes off in the end. It's just the kind of day they've had so far.
Broomhall did really well in the air. He's Shaw on the outer wing. Over the head of Poland. And now Hanslow. Direction of Alomes. Lomes with the tackle now on Patton and a stoppage. Walsh can't quite grasp it. But Lauderdale, once again, kicking to a 2-on-1 contest in their favour. They've had numbers around the ball all day. Great work from Broomhall. Through the hands of Shaw. Holmes is tied up. A stoppage on the other side of the ground as Andrew Phillips just trots along to the contest, deep into this fourth term, showing absolutely no signs of any fatigue whatsoever. Holmes taps it over his shoulder, tracked down by Perkins in the direction of Cox. He's tackled.
Tried to fend off there, I think, Cox, which never a good sign. The umpire's quick to pounce on that. Yeah, again, just continuing that really strong pressure from the Bombers.
Shaw. And now Poland, pushed as he kicked. That affected it, and Borsboom can take over. Borsboom looks inboard immediately. Goes to Paprotny. Paprotny just searching for an option. Needs to drive it inside 50 and does. Lauderdale with numbers. The ball spilled out of Gridley's hands, but there's a stoppage. So Clarence once again just not able to get off the leash.
It's hard to know what to take out of this little stretch of play, isn't it? Clarence holding their own, but a lot of the sting out of this contest now with the result not in doubt.
Phillips with the tap and then an infringement. High tackle. Taking it will be Gapin. He'll go inside 50 for the Roos. A rare entry. But guess who? Andrew Phillips just there to chop it off. Kickwood just had a little bit too much on it for Broomhall, and instead Glover with a repeat entry for Clarence. Straight to Phillips though.
That's an interesting play on call there. Quick game of kick to kick. Phillips does well under pressure.
Gets it to Sutton. Doesn't really look like he's ever under pressure, does Andrew Phillips. Sutton to Walsh, who's also been impressive today.
Really good. A strong performance from him. He seems to have gotten his body right at the right time of year and playing some great footy.
Siggins leading up at the football, and now he'll find Shaw. They'll potentially look to switch the Bombers. Shaw, chipping kick to Phillips. Quite content to just slow the game right down. 23 minutes into the last term, you would be up by 54 points. Here's Perkins. In the direction of Lane, couldn't quite clunk that one. Instead it fell to Cox. Now Ryan has it, middle of the ground. Handball was far too hot for Hanslow. Paprotny, now to Glover. Glover, inside 50 for the Roos. Through everyone's hands, Poland just takes it and strolls outside 50.
Impressive, hasn't he, Poland, as that interceptor back there just read the ball so well today.
Another one whose name we've mentioned a lot, Walsh. Here's Patton. Pushes it to the 50, but to a 2-on-1. Doing well there was Fisher. And Howard.
Roos just able to control the tempo briefly here.
It's working along the outer side, Clarence, and it will end up out of bounds in a stoppage.
Ball just sort of pinballing from 50-metre arc to 50-metre arc these last 5 minutes.
9 goals, 17 to Lauderdale today with 2 goals, 5.
And I think
quite remarkable.
We've spoken about how happy Alan Christensen would be with his team, but I think the one thing they can lock in for training this week is a bit of goal kicking practice.
Noonan tried to get Gapin on the outside, but couldn't quite do so. Kick out of thin air is no good. It's a behind, and there's the final siren. The 11th running of the Speak Up, Stay Chatty Cup has been run and won by the Lauderdale Bombers. 71-18 winners over Clarence at SkyBus Oval. And Jacob, a dominant performance by the team fourth on the ladder against the team that was second.
And it was just never in doubt, was it? The Southern Bombers were the best team from start to finish in this game, and that's not something I thought we'd be sitting here saying after the final siren, but they really were just ferocious around the contest. It started with their defensive pressure, and then with Jordan Lane running a muck up forward, they were able to put enough score on the board to well and truly account for the Roos. And I think it's going to be an interesting bye period now for both teams. Lauderdale looking ahead at what might be come finals time. Clarence, a little bit of not soul searching. They're still in a very good position, but they've got some thinking to do.
This one.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was Jordan Lane with 5 goals, Walsh with 2, single to Perkins, and then for Clarence, Glover and Ryan were their goal kickers. So just 2 goal kickers for the second best side in the competition so far this season. And the Speak Up Stay Chatty Cup goes to Lauderdale.
Certainly a performance that they can be proud of on a really significant day on the TSL calendar, and to be able to not only knock off the second place team on the ladder, but also take home some silverware and celebrate the occasion with a bang. Plenty to celebrate down at Lauderdale Oval tonight.
Jacob Dool, I'm Adam Webster. Thanks so much for being with us this afternoon on TSL Football. And Jacob, we've got a bit of a break coming up.
We have, yeah. So week off next week for Tasmania versus Sydney Canberra up at UTAS Stadium. So any football fans in the state, well worth your while getting up there for that contest. Should be 2 cracking games, men's and women's. So the TSL takes a break, but the footy never stops, does it?
It does indeed. It's been a bit of a boil over at SkyBus Oval today, but we appreciate your company as we work through that one. And well done to the Lauderdale Bombers, winners of the 11th Speak Up, Stay Chatty Cup for Jacob Dool. I'm Adam Webster. Thanks so much, and we'll see you again next time.